Hi, I'm JJ Smith, and on this week's episode of the weekly Wow Spirit Stories, we're talking about a gentleman that came in this week with his 18-year-old son, and they were hoping to speak we'll just call him Mike. They were hoping to speak to Mike's mom. And the son had come along because he was having a really hard time about losing his grandma. They had her in hospice at their house, and when she passed, it was very sudden and seemed very painful to the family that was around. And so they had a lot of concern around that. And when they came in, it was beautiful. You know, one of the things that people don't realize when you're a medium is that you can't control what spirit shows up, right? Like, we ask for a certain spirit to come in. But what was really beautiful was when we first started, Mike's dad actually showed up, and his dad had passed away when he was in 8th grade. And he said, I didn't even really think about asking to talk to him because I was so worried about my mom. And when the dad came through, he had some really cool, fun validation about what he used to call him, his nickname when he was little. And then the mom ended up coming through and was wonderful. She reassured him that where she is now is so much more beautiful than any of the pain that she was experiencing when she was terminally ill on this side. And as we were getting ready to wrap up the session, it was interesting because his son is very quiet and he hadn't said much during the reading. And all of a sudden, I started getting this feeling from spirit that it was a friend of his who had crossed himself over and was about the same age as him. And so when I asked the son about it, he was totally shocked. He was like, yes, that absolutely did happen to me. And that person was close to me, and that's exactly how his life ended. And so the spirit was able to share some information and some love from the other side with his friend, because his friend had been carrying a very heavy burden of thinking that maybe he could have done something different for his friend so that he wouldn't have made this decision to take his own life. And it was a really beautiful conversation and a very healing, because the kid here had been carrying around a lot of guilt about that. And by getting the reassurance from his friend about what was really going on in his life that had prompted him to make that choice, it gave a lot of peace and a lot of calm and closure to his friend. And what was great about that is they hadn't even mentioned anything about this friend when they came in on what spirit they might like to connect with. But that's the really beautiful thing about spirit, is whatever message we need and who we need it from is typically who shows up. So you might come in thinking you're going to talk to one person, one spirit, and somebody completely different shows up because they know what you're needing to hear to be able to give you some peace in your life with their passing. So I'm JJ Smith Medium. Thanks for joining me on the weekly Wow. I look forward to seeing you next time. And if you'd like to schedule a session, feel free to go to jjsmithmedium.com, and that's where you'll find the calendar. Thanks a bunch and have a great week.